Mayor, we flip the screen so that it's on the audience, so on the presenters, so that it doesn't really show that there's a counselor.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want us to flip it.
We're ready. Mhm.
All right, let's get rolling. All right, Matt, you wanna hop on up, you're the first one to go.
Hold on.
Hello.
Which one do you want? The,
Sorry.
hold on, I have agenda for council presentation. I have, which one? Which one is it?
You still haven't fixed the TVs yet?
Which one is it?
Hold
Why is it still?
Did you send it or did Max?
work in progress, brand new camera. It should be uploaded, it should be on the
Okay, I
bike.
got it. Agenda for council presentation? No, that's not it.
If you're logged in, Rana,
Yeah, I'm on the email.
no, look in the agenda under the budget, and there should be under the executive side, there should be.
No, there isn't. There's only the 3 links.
Are you logged in?
Are we live yet, daughter, or no?
Yeah. Is it in an email?
The camera images are wider, so your screens are, just as a heads up. They're on the, just wanted to let you guys know, just in case.
No, I guess we should have like a tent.
Max, is it in an email?
Let me check.
Oh, hold on. What is it called again? All funds?
City of Hamtramck budget highlights.
I just,
It doesn't move?
I have no idea.
No, it's stationary.
If you look at the budget, there's a, the budget presentation, there is,
Which one are you looking at?
the budget presentation.
Okay, which file?
Agenda, all,
No, it's none of those 3.
Are we live yet?
right,
Are we live?
yeah. Okay. That's where I uploaded it.
Hopefully I don't fall down.
Doesn't technical difficulties.
Just check your email and just email it to me.
I'm not gonna be able to find it fast.
total expenditure is also around 23.7 million. So overall, we have a net revenue, net positive revenue of about 29,500. In addition to that, we are spending about 2.1 million on the major roads in different projects, and about 700,000 on the local roads in different projects. We're replacing about 1,700 lead service lines, and we are replacing about $6 million worth of water main in different parts. So there are different projects where we'll be changing the water mains. Next year, rather this year, we are going to be finalizing the CBA agreement with the fire union, and then after that, we will work on the police CBA agreements. There are 2 police unions, so there'll be 2 separate agreements. Right now, we are handling about 27 active grants for the city, which total about $38 million. And some of the projects that we are handling, or some of the grants, are green alleyway project for 1.4 million, lead service lines for about 5.85 million, wetlands bathroom, there are like 4 different grants, which total about 1.75 million. Then we have a scoping grant for the phase 2 sewer relief, about 325,000. We have a tree planting grant for 1 million. Another economic recovery grant of 308, which is working on our economic recovery plan with a company called GoldTrack. Then we have the phase 1B brick grant for 2023 for 12.47 million. This grant has a 75-25 matching ratio, so 25% of the amount would have to be matched by the city, which will basically come out of the waterfront. Then we have the fire PPE equipment grant for about $88,000. Now, all these grants that I just mentioned were for 22-23 fiscal year that got approved at that time frame. And for the 24, we have one grant for $891,000 for alleyways, about $354,000 for water distribution and leak detection. Then we have 2 separate grants for water main and lead service line replacement. One for 15 million and another one for 10 million. So looking at all these different projects that we are doing next year, the city will see a lot of activity, and there will be some inconvenience to the residents, and we request the residents to show some patience. We are aggressively pursuing all the grants that we can get for our infrastructure projects. We require a lot more to address all the infrastructure issues, especially the sewer issues and the water main issues. Our water mains, more than 60% are dated between 1900 to 1940. So almost 80 to 120 years old, which need to be replaced. Our street sweeping program is showing good results. We've seen collected a lot of mud, dirt, and sediments from the streets. This is also preventing the sediments to go into the sewers. The other program that is very effective and has shown a lot of results is the water jetter truck that we bought, and we are cleaning the sewers, and we have removed tons of sediment from the sewer. So this will help alleviate the flooding issue to a certain extent. And both these investments that we made last year are showing good dividends. So this was just a broad overview of next year's activities and the overall budget.
Just a quick question, the
Yeah.
890 something
Yeah,
grant for alleyways, have we
Right.
received it already, or
it's,
is it
it's
coming?
been approved, and once we, carry out the project, which we're going to do this year, then we'll get the reimbursement.
Okay.
So most of our, grants are reimbursement based.
Okay,
You talking about the green alleyway one?
No, not the green alleyway, there's another one for alleyways for 891,000.
Don't forget, we still have the green alleyway.
Yeah, green
one.
alleyways is also about
They s-
1.4
We
million.
still haven't even defined what we've got yet, so we'll let you know as soon as we have the definition of what we get.
We're also, trying to look for some more grants for the alleyways, as much as we can get. This is one area where it's very difficult to get. I think the two areas that we've found to be really difficult is one is alleys and the other is the fire truck. Trying to get grants for fire engine. Okay, so, starting off with the departments, the first one is the fire department.
Well, Mr. Chair, I got one question.
Sure.
So is there any updates from the Wayne County Jail?
Okay.
There is not at this time. We do continue to reach out to them pretty regularly, between myself, our CED reaches out to them regularly. I know that council and mayor reaches out to them regularly. They're very acutely aware of the situation. They have expressed that it is on their agenda, but they really have not given us an update. They do continue to pay us, but we kind of sit in limbo.
The last meeting we had was last year with the Wayne County officials, and they were aware that, we would face a hole in our budget. And they've said that, they will try to see something that they can, how they can address that. They're aware that, if they shift the jail, but on the other hand, what during the talks we discovered was that the new facility that they have built, where they want to move, it's already overcrowded. So, I frankly don't see any change happening soon, and that is the reason why I have in the budget included, the revenue for, Dickerson facility.
Okay.
We received this revenue in November, so we received 1.4 million last year in November. And this year also we expect to receive a similar amount around the November timeframe.
They have not indicated otherwise that we're not gonna get it, so I would like to think that, they would at least notify us if we're not gonna receive it.
Yeah, I mean, and plus, we would know, even if they don't notify us, we would know if there is a shift from here to their new facility when they move all the inmates and all the stuff from there. So this place is still occupied and functioning.
So is it occupied by inmates?
Yeah,
Juveniles, currently.
juveniles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're optimistic.
I'm just, cause it's kinda gonna hit our budget, so.
Alls we can be is optimistic right now and keep applying pressure, so.
If you're looking at the budget and on the revenue, you would notice that, last year's revenue was 24.1 million, whereas this year's revenue is 23.7 million total. It's a little less than 2022-23 revenue, but in 2022-23, we had 2.26 million of ARPA funds, which we didn't have. So from that perspective, this year's revenue is actually 8% more than 2 years ago.
well, we also had more state share revenue last year,
Right,
paid, like
that was another,
retroactive,
yeah, 2000, yeah, exactly.
about
That
800,000.
was also more, because there was an adjustment at that time.
Okay.
So we, basically everything that Amir just presented as well. He presented a very nice document that we cannot seem to locate that we will post later for your viewing pleasure.
I'll forward it to you. Is the same highlights that I'd
We'll
just
get
given?
it posted on the agenda as well for everyone to see and you'll be able to see it in print as well. So I apologize, I thought it was uploaded, I could have swore I did, it must not have taken, I'm gonna say it did, so.
And then also, I noticed here the code enforcement,
Mhm.
you know, it did increase, but it's not that much by having 5, 6 people in the code enforcement.
Well, so it fluctuates a lot, I mean, we hire code, we lose code. I mean, it really, we have several full-time code, but now code is shared with building, you know, so, I mean,
So,
it's sort of a floating target.
if
who's
you,
in there.
I think we are gradually ramping up the code, you know, efforts. If you look at last year's activity in 22-23, we had a revenue of $8,786. Compared to that, this year so far, in 9 months, we have received 20,000. So it is going up, it's just not going up as fast as, you know, we want that to be. And for next year, I've kept a very conservative number of 24,000.
And also keep in mind that we want compliance, I mean, we want this.
I mean, it's not
clean
not a source of revenue, it is a source of revenue, but not that big a source. What we like to do is to see the city more compliant and in a better shape,
If we could break even,
yeah.
But the way I look at it, if we have 4 or 5 people and we're, you know, like, again, you know, our main goal is comply.
Yeah,
We want people to understand and to comply, you know, so they don't get violations. But again, you know, if we have 4 or 5 people and we're not making more income,
agree.
so while we have more people just sitting there.
right,
So I think we need to
I think,
check on the right way of doing it. So if there's no need to have more than one person, more than 4 or 5 people in that department, maybe mine, you know, if we
Right.
have to let people
You-
leave, because if you, 20,000, that's not even, that can be
Right.
one employee
right.
getting paid right now.
I think the efforts will show higher revenue as we go forward. The other thing we have to look at it, because we are starting this activity, a lot of the times, these, you know, tickets get, kind of waived off, you know, because, you know, for various reasons. So overall, I think the improvement will come both in revenue and in compliance.
Councilman, if we can, we have a lot of department heads sitting here, and we will get to code. But the fire chief is up next, if we can kind of stay on point, and kind of get to that when we get to that topic, I'd appreciate it. So, if we can move along, Mayor, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we can start and then we'll have question as we move on.
Chief, quickly.
Can you move to page 22 of the report? Yeah.
See, I have the report, I can pull it up.
That's on there.
Yeah, I have it, it's up there. Do you need it bigger?
No, no.
Our budget is pretty similar to last year. We did have one major capital project last year, was the roof on part of the firehouse. That was completed. Second project we're gonna be finishing up here, or actually starting and hopefully finishing within the next month, is a kitchen remodel. After that, next year, we also are moving our air compressor system from the basement upstairs. Not as big a project, but it is a major undertaking for us, having to shift stuff around. That's gonna be happening starting tomorrow. Next year, we have a few smaller projects, tuck pointing, stabilizing the building, just making sure we're maintaining our building. It is over 100 years old, so we're making sure we're budgeting to keep the building up and maintained. Past that, as Mayor said earlier, we do have a grant that's on the agenda tonight, to purchase some more gear. We got that through the state of Michigan, so that's gonna give us a little buffer out of our budget. So money that we were allocating to spend the next 2 years, we're gonna be getting in this grant, so that's gonna give us some savings and some leeway to, take the funds and shift it to much other needed projects like the building itself and purchasing the apparatus. Also in this budget, we do have some capital improvements. We're gonna update our extrication equipment, that's a 2-year project. We're gonna purchase 2 new pieces this year, 2 new pieces the following year. We're gonna continue We were going to continue with the SCBA and PPE, that's gonna come from the grant. We're also going to upgrade our thermal imaging cameras, which, the current one is about 15 years old. So we do have pricing and all that, so we're looking forward to upgrade some very, needed equipment. And, as Amir said, we do have the CBA, we're looking to settle with the firefighters union soon. So there'll be obviously some increases in the budget there. And, the elephant in the room, I suppose, is our pumper. We do have one grant outstanding with FEMA through the Assistance with Firefighters grant. They are generally doing the technical review starting in early June, so we may hear something early to midsummer on if they're going to grant us that. There's also some, we're getting some feedback or some talk from Lansing. They're trying to appropriate some funding for a pumper. So there are still two things in the work, but that being said, neither of them are guaranteed. So this is something we didn't insert into the budget at this time. We're kind of waiting to see if these grants do come through. If not, we're going to have to look at purchasing the budget, or purchasing from the general fund pumper and get the process rolling. We're getting any estimates on build time from 18 to 40 months. So the sooner we order, obviously, the better, so.
And the cost, we're looking at about 800,000
800,000.
or more.
The prices have gone up over 150,000 this year. I was just at a conference. They're saying with the emission changes, they're looking at another $100,000 increase just based on the new engine requirements.
So this will take it up to almost $1 million.
Almost $1 million for a pumper that 15 years ago we paid $300,000.
That's crazy.
So. You guys have any questions?
No,
Yes? All right. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Next is District Court. Yeah, Ty.
I'm sorry, what page is it, Amir?
That's page 17.
17?
So, this is Ty. Ty is our court administrator. I don't know if you guys have met Ty. Have you ever met Ty?
Yes.
Ty runs our district court and has so for a number of years now, and is gracious to join us this evening. I think this is the first time.
Yes, so,
She is on behalf of our district court, Alexis Crott, and here to quickly go over the judge's budget for the year.
yes.
So, floor is yours, Ty.
Okay,
If you
so,
wanted to-
of course, the court doesn't produce any revenue, so I don't have anything for that, but I can just highlight a couple areas here where we were able to decrease in our lines. One is the interpreter fee. We were able to decrease by $10,000. We went with another company. They're still court certified, but they're offering us like court interpreter days where they can interpret hourly instead of charging us per defendant. So that made us able to decrease in that line. Another significant decrease was in our technology line because now our JIS fees are being covered by the state. So we were able to decrease by $25,000 in that line. So that's huge for that as well. Also with our professional services, we decreased by $32,000. We're not looking to have any contract workers, and the elimination of the bank service fees, we had help with that as well, that Amir helped us with. A decrease in printing, $4,000 because we're now on MyFile, so we don't have any civil files or any files to print from that. Anything else that you guys might have questions about?
No, ma'am.
So we were happy to highlight the decreases we were able to put in place for the budget year.
So the only increase was in salaries?
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone decreases salary. I mean, you gotta keep your employees, I mean.
Because I was looking at the total, I was expecting decrease, but it's
But the courts are looking better now after the remodels.
Oh, yes, we're happy about that too, it looks really good, it came out great, so,
Looks well for you.
yes. The building department helped us out a lot with that as well, with all of our moving things, and so we appreciate that as well.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you for coming, Ty.
No problem.
Next up,
Police.
Andy?
we have Deputy Chief Molesky, who is filling in for, the incoming chief. Be kind, this is Deputy Chief Molesky's first crack at the apple, so he worked closely with the mayor on this, which means he'll be able to help the incoming chief next year to work through this, which I have an update. The chief's first day will be May 13th is the tentative start date, with a swearing-in date of the council meeting on the 14th is the ceremonial swearing in. So that is our tentative plan. So, Deputy Chief, if you wanna go ahead and have the floor for a minute, and maybe just do a quick overview with the mayor.
Yeah, there's, as far as the amended budget goes, we amended it for the 2023-24. It looks like, the requested budget went up a little bit, but not a lot from the amended budget. Only about 20,000, with revenue. Revenues are just the regular revenue that increases are for salary, overtime, increases down the line, obviously insurance, medical information, stuff like that. But it stayed pretty similar, and we're hoping to keep it that way. Looking to keep hiring officers, we're still down some, so, but I think it's all been, we talked about that, it was been added in there, so. But it stayed very, similar to the amended budget. I don't have a lot to add, I got into it late, but I worked with the mayor at the end, but we've already outlawed with, our narcotic, funds to purchase vehicles, so that should help us out, we're good on that. Vehicle repair stayed about the same, that should go down, cause we have a newer fleet, so that should help out. County prisoners went down, should go down, they continue to go down, which has been a good thing. Other than that, with the salaries, the medical, that's gonna stay the same. Clemis, that's standard, which are used for our computer system, so those are standard stuff we have to pay.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
You guys have anything else?
Deputy Chief, I know we purchased 3 vehicles, SUVs. Are they on the road as
Not
of
per-
speed?
So, they're getting everything done. The problem is our cameras, they were so outdated, they wouldn't work, so we could not, and our new cameras come in about a month. So, they're getting installed, so we should have them up and going within a month or so, the SUVs. They've been here, but at the time, they were backed up with the equipment, but we couldn't put cameras into them. So, the cameras should be arriving, I think, next month. We're outfitting our whole new camera system for all the vehicles, and which is definitely needed, because right now we're having issues with it, so when that's done, those will be up and running.
So that means June they will be on the roads.
I would hope so, I would hope even before June, but, I know within the next month, we just had our first meeting last week to get the ball rolling, and they're ordering the equipment, and it's coming in to get we're switching to Axon,
Okay.
which will be a lot better. Right now, it's antiquated, they won't even help us out, even though we have a service agreement, so we can't even download stuff, so, I'm looking forward to that, it'll be a nice upgrade for the police department.
Because I was kind of curious, they were sitting in the back for a long time.
Yes, way too long, and it's just unfortunately, like, we couldn't purchase the new camera system, we don't wanna go on the road without the camera system, for obviously liability reasons. And, so they're basically outfitted with everything but the cameras.
That's not true.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, there's another area dispatch if you wanna cover it.
Sure.
It's on the screen.
Come on up. Page here.
It's page 20.
20.
So currently, as you can see, dispatch went up, we are in the process of hiring, we are short, I believe, 1 full-time dispatcher, which we're working on getting, and we have a couple part-timers that fill in. And what's nice about the dispatch, what we've been doing, is because to be honest, we're having a hard time getting applicants for police. So we're getting our dispatchers that come along and they do a good job, we see their work ethic, that's who we're sending through the academy. So it's a good opportunity for these guys to come in part-time, get to know the police department, get to know the residents, and then it gives us a good idea, never than just sending somebody off the street that we don't know to the academy, so, I'm sorry. That's what we've been doing, so it's sort of a good program, it's like a work program, and then, they learn everything about the city. So it is expected to go up, hopefully we're doing some interviews to get one more full-time and then some part-time dispatchers come in.
Okay.
Any questions on the dispatchers?
No, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
There you go.
All right, next up, John, DPW. John wants to buy a bunch of stuff? No. Sorry.
What page, I'm sorry?
Page, let's start off with page 12.
Okay, I have page 125.
Yeah.
Department.
This is 265.
All right, John
Yeah,
promises
building
not to
and
buy a
grounds.
bunch of stuff this year.
We bought a lot.
We're gonna pay
Building and
dividends this
grounds.
year.
All building and grounds?
It's up on the TV. Well,
Page 12.
Yeah. It might help if I can put my eyes on it.
You got,
Oh.
hard copy?
Yeah, oh no, I got my hard copy. Not much has changed in building and grounds, we pretty much kept the same budget numbers as we had the previous year. We had a lot of, approvals from council to fix up the building. I haven't added anything more than what's been already allocated. Still spending those funds, I'm just wrapping up projects that I have here in the building. Yeah, building grounds there's not much at all change, so. As far as I know, right, Amir? All the money,
The
all the
only
numbers the same.
change is from last year is that this year we did not put any money in the alleys for building and ground because we have 2 grants for alleys. So if we need to do more alleys, we can always allocate more funds from the general fund and do it later on. But that's the reason I didn't put any money in this budget, because we had 2 grants that we needed to work on for the alleys.
So yeah, I was basically finishing up what's already been approved. We got floor 2 to do a little bit more, police department, some carpet, a couple offices on the 3rd floor yet to wrap up, but, majority of it's wrapped up.
All right.
Then let's go to page 19. Yeah, this is just parking enforcement.
Probably should have been
I don't know nothing about
All right, I'll.
Other than we got a car,
This is-
we got
this
2.
is- This is,
John, no, I got parking enforcement.
this is basically parking, fees that we pay to MPS, so that's where we account for it.
So that's the thing I don't understand. That's 500,000.
Right, right. So here's how it works. Our revenue for parking comes through the court,
Mhm.
so fines and forfeiture. So there, the revenue, so in our agreement, with MPS is that we share 50-50 the revenue.
Okay.
That's what the agreement is. So last year, if you look at it, 2022-23, the year before, we had a total expenditure of 418,300. So that is what we paid to MPS. So that means that our revenue that we got was also around 413,000. Now, from our revenue, we deduct certain fees that we need to pay to the technology partners, as well as some internet cost and some card fees and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, TV costs, Comcast costs. So all of those costs reduce our revenue to around, let's say, almost 300,000 from 400,000. So that's how we see it. So our net, money that we make is going to be around 24,000 a month, after deducting all costs and paying to MPS. So this is just the expense part that you're seeing here.
Mm.
The general revenue is the revenue from parking is part of the overall
Yeah.
general
I
revenue.
see. And these meters, we have, what, a year, a couple months?
Yeah, we have,
Roughly.
something like that. It's a 5-year contract, with the option to extend for another 5 years, out of which I think about a year is left, those 5 years.
How come? I thought they started enforcing a new, like this September 21 or so.
I think the contract was signed in 2020 something.
Roughly.
Is it from the time it was signed?
Last time we checked, it was around a year and some change left on it.
So that means since they signed it,
Yeah,
They sign up for July, the active July.
Last time I checked, it was like a year and
Yeah.
some change on it, so.
we can,
Next
I
season.
tried to look
Verify.
it up.
Next year's
uh,
July is gonna
get
be
a
down.
Clear
okay,
picture.
all right. So,
So let's go to page 21, Donna. This is for code enforcement.
Okay. So code's probably gonna carry over a little bit into building, cause it's hard to talk about one without talking about the other. I heard your concerns on code.
Remember, we combined these two recently. so-
Right.
so-
So a lot of this is being integrated together, so the concerns that you had about maybe we have too many or not, we're actually multi-purposing some of the code officials, we're actually started to cross-train some of them already on the dual. Anthony Biss is being trained on rentals, how to do rental inspections. Kind of what Andy has with the pilot program with the dispatchers, I'm trying to implement in code and building, because I'm trying to find that employee that's gonna be good with customers on the inspection side and also the building side. So I've asked a few of them in code, would you like to go further, learn more, and have a better opportunity down the road? And I got a couple of people interested in that already, so that's working out, I think, well. The other problem we have with code is we don't have enough vehicles. Now, when we get more vehicles in, we'll have the guys efficiently using their time a little bit better, because we'll have vehicles to go out.
And keep in mind, Councilman and Mayor, that it's gonna take some time. I mean, we just collapsed these departments not but within the past 6 months. So, I mean, we're still working out the bugs here, you know? I mean, you know, for years, we had McKenna doing all of this. You know, we just took this back on. We're still working through it, we're still cross-training, we're still figuring it back out. You know, we're doing it, we're saving money, I believe we're gonna do a much more efficient job in the long run. It's gonna be better for our residents, but it's gonna take us a little time to iron it out. And I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be a much better product for the community, but there's gonna be some speed bumps.
And currently, we're developing lists on the code side and also the inspection side for the rental. So when people come in to register a rental, they're gonna get a list of what we're looking at. So they're gonna be able to register, go home, work on those items so that we get to their house. Hopefully, they have them all done, but if not, they may have most of them done, instead of being surprised by different things. The same thing on the code, we're gonna have the top 20 of what items we're really looking at, so people can address those freely before they're cited or before they're towed and whatnot. Kind of stabilize and put some uniformity to it.
I know this is not the right time to talk about this, but I was just arguing on Facebook with some people, complaining
I've
about
seen it.
getting violation for the wrong address, like the picture of his neighbor. This is, I have seen like 10 of them myself, where people will come to me and say, this is my neighbor and I got a ticket. So they need to be careful, because people don't have time and, you
Well,
know.
what And I want to address that. I actually had a meeting on this when we merged the departments. The one thing I've been finding is people are writing their addresses all over the place in the rear of their house. I actually would like to designate a particular spot on their back fence where the address should go. People are moving them way far to the left, and they think it's at a house to the left, or way too far to the right, and it's the one to the right. So you go back to, or it's right on the middle, you don't know which house it is unless you drive around the block. So actually, I talked to the guys going out for that. I said, I'd like to, on that letter, that form that we pass out, when we tell people to put their addresses in the rear of the house, I'd like to find the best spot at the certain height in the best area on the fence. That way we know exactly what house it goes to, because that was creating some problems.
And just making sure they're on the back of the house is even half the
Yeah.
battle too.
I mean, they're putting it up with cardboard or big spray painting, so I wanted to get some uniformity to that too. And it's better for the first responders coming to it, because we're confused. I can only imagine somebody in EMS or whatever, they're, where they're going, or police going through there. It'd be a lot easier for them.
Mainly police.
To add to the mayors, it's like they're writing these now when we force them to put addresses. Some of them are saying, well, now when we have addresses, we're still getting tickets for the wrong thing. So it needs to be addressed. I worked in the code enforcement. Previously, there was no addresses, so we used to make kind of mistakes. Yeah. But now there's addresses on these houses, and they're still making mistakes and writing to the wrong house.
Still a lot missing, but we're getting
There's a
better.
lot missing.
It's getting better.
Yeah,
Why do missing long time? Over 20 years, only those 3 years they missing.
Well, people are putting
We live in the
stickers.
city like 25 years, and I own houses from 2004. People, they do missing before. Why? I guess only the 3 years. People, they missing wrong address, wrong.
We're gonna continue to address it hundred percent, but, Mayor, Council, we're getting way off target, and we are very limited on time here, and we still got a lot of ground to cover. Can we,
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
It just comes when we just add these as we,
I know,
so.
I just implore you to try to get what we can.
Yeah. So I think code, you'll see a big improvement of this time goes on for sure, now that we've integrated it.
23, page 25. This is mechanical.
That's a building,
Yeah, that's mechanical,
okay.
building inspection.
So McKenna currently for the building side is only doing the electrical, the plumbing, and the mechanical.
So that cost has gone down, so I
Way
budgeted a
down.
lot less for that one,
I think what we budget like 250 or something.
yeah. 24 is basically sanitation services.
That's out for a proposal right now.
Yeah, sure.
I think they-
Budgeted about 900,000, so we've sent out an RFP for this services. So once we get that RFP, we'll know exactly what the cost is going to be.
So this is
You know
just,
what's going on.
this is just estimated.
This is just an estimate. The impression is that the cost may go up significantly. So we'll see how the cost numbers come in.
It's been a while since we bid it out, so.
5 years.
So that's when we always bid it every 5 years.
Yeah, this will be priorities, 5th year, it ends June 30th.
Alright. And it is going on for bid, correct?
It already is.
May
Sorry,
15th, I believe, so it'll come out to town, it'll come to
Okay.
you before.
We
Alright.
also did, trees as well.
Next,
26, page 26. Building and rentals.
oh,
Uh,
26.
Now, that's done in-house, that was removed from McKenna. We're training people on that, like I said earlier. Anthony's been trained on it. We have Alan, the building inspector, when his schedule allows, he's been doing a lot of rental inspections, and Tony both. And then hopefully we can get Eric on board too for that.
And that's-
All right.
Okay, next is Karen,
25,
25, yep.
there you go.
Thank you. We don't have many changes from last year. We have 2 staff, full-time, 1 part-time person, and we're managing a lot of grants. That's really what our staff is doing, plus a lot of planning and development projects. We're also doing a lot of community projects, like Hamtramck High School Summer Youth Program and different cleanups. So most of it is accounted for right there. We can go to the DDA one.
What page?
Page 36.
Before you go, who did we hire for, that grant that we received last year, 3,009?
300.
Yes, so we
300,000.
hired Alessandro, who's managing the Discover Hamtramck and working on a lot of projects.
So that grant is for 3 years employment, right?
So he has a 3-year position.
So is it like, it seems like he's not, this is way more than what we pay him, right? Like he's not getting paid.
It's fully covered by the grant. That's your
It
question.
seems like there's a lot of extra money from the grant, like
Oh, that's because of-
309 for 3 years. It's
Right,
done,
we
right?
are paying about 100,000 to Gold Track, to,
So Gold Track is making 3 economic development plans. So one is a 3-year industrial development plan, a 3-year business development plan, and then a 10-year citywide development plan for economic development.
Is that from the grant or?
yeah,
That's also from the
that's
grant.
part of the grant.
Capping what the mayor is asking, how much is he getting paid yearly?
I know he's not getting paid much. I see him in the DDA, but I'm wondering, because the grant is
I
for
know.
one person for 3 years. Alexandro is
The
getting.
grant covers two things, the salary for 3 years plus Gold Track, all of Gold Track's work. And it includes benefits, so any benefits that we provide as a city is also under that grant.
We can offline give you the breakdown if you want, Mayor. If you want to have it, look it up separately. I don't think we have it handy
Yeah, I
now
don't know.
with us, but
Thank
we
you.
can certainly get it for you.
All right, so, next, which page?
36.
36.
So the DDA, will probably bring in about 32,000 this year. That would be going towards, about half towards special projects and half towards beautification and maintenance. Beautification and maintenance includes things like snow removal on the sidewalks, banners, anything that's done downtown to really beautify the downtown. As well, special projects include, we're creating booklets and Discover Hamtramck things related to just really promoting downtown businesses.
All right. They were asking for 10% of the code revenue, of the parking revenue. They're planning to come and ask us to approve it.
10%?
10% of the monthly revenue from the parking enforcement. So I said, I don't know if the city council will approve it.
Well, let's wait until, see what we're gonna do in a year.
Well, I told them there's one more left, so it's not worth it. Okay. Next,
Thank you, Carolyn.
thank you.
Next is income tax. Unfortunately, our income tax director couldn't be here today, but our controller is gonna cover that for us.
What page?
Page 7. So again, not a whole lot of change. One of the major costs that we pay through this
Next.
department is basically the payment to Innovative, which basically handles all our tax, payments and processes. And so that is about 250,000 of that that goes to Innovative. Other than that, there's not a lot of change in here.
Questions?
No?
Okay.
So when we say the professional services, does that mean like we have contractors who
Yeah,
come?
we have a contract with them.
Yeah.
They process both ours as well as Highland Park's taxes.
Okay.
So people file their taxes, they go all the way to Innovative, and there they are processed, and then, the reports are generated, the money is deposited in the
Alright.
treasurer's office.
I noticed the majority of the cost here and in the controller department as well. We still have those contractors, right?
Right, because
Unfortunately.
we are still not able to get good staff, and we've lost some people. We hired some and then they left.
Okay.
We're actually about to start interviewing for the treasurer here in short order. We have some resumes, not as many as we'd like, but we're gonna get going on that. And then we're looking for our account manager position too. Again, we would like some more resumes, but we're gonna start interviewing nonetheless. So, moving on, we're gonna try and get as much ground as possible here. So, Ron, if we can move to 6. You're up, Mayor.
Yeah. So again, the cost changes are basically because
Listen.
of, work that we are actually, because we are handling so many grants, so that requires a lot of paperwork and a lot of activity in the finance department. In addition to that, it requires additional audit costs, because in addition to the regular audit, we have to do the single audit, and then within the single audit, depends on how many, projects that we do or how many federal grants that we get. So they all cost additional amount of money. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if we can, why don't we go ahead and do Conrad, the assessor, since that way he doesn't have to come back.
Okay.
Knock that one out real quick.
Page.
Page 10.
So, not too many major changes, but kind of major changes. You see a little increase in the staff. One of those increases is staff, Ashley has her she's a fully licensed assessor as well right now. And then the plan is to have a cross-trained employee to work in income tax and assessing. The last one going in there so we could cover it. So Ashley and I can go into the field checks and do more. So then there'll be somebody who can cross-train to help out with income tax and assessing. They can cover both windows, like be able to take both and hopefully relieve some of these closures and the other stuff in that for both departments, or one department. The other thing you'll notice is the contract service and professional services. That's budgeted to include GIS to update the online maps and digital maps we have in Hamtramck. Hopefully that might actually help our building and code enforcement as well when we update it based on GIS, geographical and other stuff in here. There's a contract price that we have to pay yearly plus the update fee to a professional company to do the GIS software for us. They haven't been updated since I want to say 2012. And then it also make it easier for all the citizens to be able to access easier information, maps, B and C assessments, values and other stuff for their property and everything else. It should make it easier for everybody in the city to look up values, properties and do comparisons so they have a better idea and understanding of all the values. Another thing in these, this past year with GM taking us to court, our legal fees and assessing, we had to get a specialized legal expert to do like the corporate lawsuit when GM is taking us to court over the Factory Zero. So we budgeted in there. Hopefully we don't have to use it, but in case we do need a specialized real estate for like tribunals and stuff like that, we have it budgeted in there. Hopefully we don't have to use it, but there are people who look through these budgets to see if there's assessing departments have it and go after cities that way. So it's better to have it down there and not use it and try to stave off some of these other lawsuits. That's pretty much the major changes in mine. Any questions?
So that means we're still gonna continue, what's his name?
The plan is to phase them out as well, so it's gonna be more of the staff. So the two full-time, Ashley and I, and then floater between the income tax and the
So when is he gonna be?
We've already made that hire. That person's hired right now. We just have some staffing issues right now with that income tax person right now, and then the clerk, that person's out right now. So we're just waiting for staff to level off, and making that change.
So within what
Hopefully
estimated?
within the next month and a half,
Yeah.
basically, somewhere around that period.
So it's already all happening. Mr. Mayor, we probably need 10 to 15 more minutes. It's all a mirror, maybe even less, it's all a mirror on these last few. You guys just wanna push through, if not, we might have to call a special meeting.
No, we could.
We might not call a special meeting.
I mean, we literally only probably need 10.
Well, we can probably go ahead, we are live, so.
Yeah, we're at 6:55.
Yeah, let's continue.
We still have,
Mary, you wanna keep rolling? Nine, Ron?
So this is the treasurer's office. Again, major changes are basically in the salary part, because we don't have a treasurer right now, which we are planning to hire, as Max mentioned. And so that's why we've kept some money over there for the treasurer's office. Otherwise, the costs are pretty all right. And then, can we go to page 13? Legal, again, the costs are pretty much the same as last year and what was budgeted this year, around 700,000. Next, page 14, general administration. Here again, the costs are pretty much in line with what we've seen in the past. This includes the debt payments that we make, so that cost is also reflected here, the interest costs, plus the insurance costs, and the workers' comp costs. These are the major areas.
29?
Yeah, so 29 is basically the road fund, and this is the major roads. We're anticipating a revenue of around 2 million, and about 2.1 million we'll be spending just on the roads, in addition to all the other activities that we have there, the salary cost and winter maintenance and traffic services, etc. So about 2.6 million. So the remaining amount will be taken from the fund balance that we have.
So that includes the matching grants or what? Because what are the streets that we are?
The streets that we do, the grants are not there. If the grants are there, then the revenue are going to be shown in there. Most of our grants that we are working on right now are for the water fund. So that's where most of the activity of the grants would be. So this is basically the revenue that we receive from MDOT, Department of Transportation. So that's the revenue that we show. So that's 2.1 million is what we are budgeting. Last year we received about 2.2. So this varies depending on the gas costs. This is the revenue that comes in. That's the taxes are collected through the gas costs, both for this fund and the local roads.
Okay.
Next is 31. So here the revenue is going to be about 970, which includes 300,000 of revenue that we'll transfer from the major roads to the local roads, and we will be spending about $1 million in the fund on the local roads. 57, let's go to the main. Now, this is the water and sewer fund. This is the enterprise fund. The overall revenue for this fund is around 11 million, whereas we are spending about 12 million. So the remaining 1 million will come out of the fund balance. So there's a healthy fund balance here in this particular project, in this particular fund, which is about, right now it's, end of last year was about 16 million. So, from there we'll use 1 million to do some of the projects on water. We'll still have 14 million, revenue left, fund balance left in this particular. This is the area and this is the fund where we are spending the maximum amount of money in terms of our infrastructure, plus a lot of the expenses related to, or rather all the expenses related to the street sweeping program, as well as the water jetting and sewer cleaning program. So all of that expense is reflected in here.
And what we have in the general fund now, what's the total?
General fund, as I mentioned, we have a balanced budget, so we have a revenue of 23.7 million and expenditure of about 23 million. And if you remember last year, we had a fund balance of 9 million.
Yeah, so is it still the same
It's
or
still,
went
it's,
up?
it's still the same. It all depends on how this year shapes up. So out of that 9 million, we will end up using about 1 million for the various alleys that we approved. So that would come out of the fund balance.
Okay.
So we should have at least around 7.5 to 8 million in there at the end of the year.
7.5, you said?
Yeah,
After we take the
Okay.
1 million.
we still have about three months to go.
Okay.
So But, what we did last year was that all our ARPA revenue went into the fund balance, 2.2 million, plus another 6 million, 600,000 went into the fund balance. So our fund balance before that, at the end of 2023, was about 6 million, and it has, it went up to 9 million. Okay, so these was the major funds. All the other funds have very little activity in there, so. Other than that, then the only 3 areas left are the clerk, human resource, and the city manager and council. So I'll cover the human resource, page 15. Again, there's hardly any change. The only change is a few, some adjustments in salaries and other expenses, so there's not much change in human resource. The next one is the MERS, against around 6 million expenditure every year on MERS, and that's what we have budgeted. Okay, page 4 and 5 for city manager and council. Again, not much change in the council budget, and also not much change in terms of the city manager budget. 317,000 in the amended budget this year, and 313,000 for next year. Rana's budget,
What page again?
page 8.
Okay, I can go through real quick. Unless you do it, go ahead.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, again, the clerk's budget, not a whole lot of change, just slight changes overall.
The only thing I did notice, Amir, just to point this out, tuition reimbursement, it should be under legal notices.
Okay. Okay,
You see?
yeah, I'll put that,
Yeah.
I'll make that.
And then for election,
Yeah, election is page 11.
I can say we were up a little bit this year just because we had a third election for the presidential primary, but it's gonna go back, well,
Yeah, it's
sort
not-
of go back to normal, but it is a presidential election, so there will be a little bit more expense this year than the previous years, but other than that, it's pretty stable.
Yeah, last year it was 134,000, next year again it's going to be around 134,000.
All right.
Any question on the clerk's budget? All right.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, that's a wrap.
Alright. We start early today?
Huh?
We start early?
Yeah, we just made it through the whole budget. I don't know how we did it.
Did you send an email?